Dr. Michael Lim.
Good morning.
Cardiologist with SSM Health, SLU Hospital, and SLU Care. Today, you found a interesting new study about healthy eating.
New study, old news.
Oh, nice.
Right? New study, old news.
You're a media savvy doctor as well.
He's good.
You can help us with our headlines. What do you got going on?
Do whatever I can.
Do whatever you can.
The concept of this study looked at things that we know about, but phrased them differently.
Yeah.
And that is, if you adopt 5 things in your life, you potentially add at least a decade to your lifespan. So those 5 things are the self-evident things we've always talked about. 1, avoid smoking. Seemingly obvious,
Right.
sometimes a big struggle,
Right.
but that's 1. 2, exercise regularly. Also something we've talked about a lot and hard to do, but helpful. 3, control your weight. Maintain a healthy body mass index. Sometimes that's worked on by the exercise. Sometimes that's worked on by eating right, which
Right.
is the 4th thing. You know, eating a healthy diet and staying away from the fat, staying away from too much cholesterol, staying away from really too large of a portion, and eating the fruits and vegetables. The balance comes from that.
Right.
And so, and then 5, not consuming alcohol in excess. And the new recommendations for that are probably about 1 drink a day for women and maybe 1.5 drinks a day for men, not more than 2. That's what sort of moderate to appropriate alcohol consumption would be.
Can you drink 30 in a day and then have none for the rest of the month?
Well,
That would be binge? A
we
binge
go-
on
we-
one
we-
day?
We can go back to that old saying. Well, you might be able to do that.
Right.
Is the question how healthy that is? No, I don't think we can advise
Right.
the 30 and then just do that sort of on a once a month or once every other month basis. That's probably not the message there. But
Bring
I
a
mean,
little levity to the program.
it is,
Yes.
but I mean, this is old news, right?
Right.
But I mean, you can add a decade to how long you live by adopting these things. So
But
you
what-
think about every day that, oh man, this is hard, and I don't like to do this, and I don't want to wake up and exercise, or it's really hard to quit smoking. But if you gain 10 years to your life.
Right.
That's the payoff.
Yeah.
Is there a certain age, though? What if you've, lived poorly, not followed these rules when you're like 50 or 60? Is it too late? Can you turn back the clock?
Yeah, so a study like this is really hard to pinpoint a thing where it says, well, if you don't do this by age of, I'm going to not pick an age just so we
Right.
don't
Right.
get in serious trouble, but then it's too late. I think we would suggest that, there is some benefit. Obviously, the earlier you do this and the ability to do all 5 gains you at least that 10 to 14 years that this study shows. But there's still something to be gained. If you can only do 3 of these, you're still probably better off than doing none. And if you end up quitting smoking in your 60s, I still think you get some benefit as long as you're fortunate enough to be able to be free of the things that are going to shorten your life.
Don't they say, like, the minute you stop smoking, instantaneously your health starts to improve within days?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. The smoking causes, the most immediate effect is an actual damage to the airways. So every time you smoke a cigarette, you damage the airways. And that damage just keeps happening and happening and happening. The second you stop smoking, now that damage doesn't happen. And so you don't have to go through this damage, attempt to heal cycle. And so that's the instant benefit you get. And then the second instant benefit you get is a lot of that damage has to do with these little with things called cilia within the airways that really deal with dealing with your secretions and helping you stay away from respiratory infections. Those actually start working normally. At a period of time after you quit smoking. And so your ability to stay away from infections and bronchitis and getting sick and having that torrential cough
Right.
starts getting better.
Yeah. Exercise, you don't have to go start the first day and run a marathon either, right? You can start walking on a treadmill and doing some light things, but just getting
Just
up and
moving a
being
little
active.
bit.
You know, I think the fun thing about today, in this day and age, is everybody's got smartphones and other things like Fitbits and other trackers. You know, set a goal for yourself, or so start wearing it or start tracking it. And if you do 4,000 steps a day, set a goal to start. Just double it.
Right.
Just double it and say, well, I'm going to do 8,000 steps a day. And when you look at it at 6 p.m. and you've only done 4,000, go walk.
Right.
Go put in a 4,000 step walk, and then at some period of time increase that again and get to 10,000 steps a day. And yes, you're right. It's not training to be a marathon runner. It's not joining up and having to go to a gym and do some kind of specified workout.
Right.
But it really is movement. And those step trackers, I think, are great to kind of encourage that.
Dr. Michael Lim, a SLU doctor, thanks for joining us. Good stuff, as always. And you'll be with us every Friday now.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah.
For a little bit. Just changing schedule.
Yeah,
and,
all right.
Just trying to keep it
Keep it real.
real and
Keeping it real.
and keep it effective.
Thanks.